I have a whole bunch of videos I need to put up. Okay, so this is horizontal, this is vertical. This is what is traditionally in photography called portrait. And once again, here, I'm just going to delete that one out of there. Now, this one is horizontal. It doesn't mean it can't become vertical, but for our purposes, it is horizontal. Now, okay. So your goal, and if you are going to use an image as your whole poster, right? So you're working on an A3 poster. If I open up, I can actually open a file. I can say new, and it's actually going to show up, but it's because it remembers the last thing I opened earlier today. But if I go to print, that's where I will find these sizes. And that's where I can find A3, and it will create, and it will open a blank A3. Now I'm going to open another one just so you see this, because yeah. So I'm now going to open, whoops, nope, sorry. I'm now going to create another one, new, but I'm going to go with print. So we're heading for print, and I'm going to go with A4. What? Those look exactly the same, right? If I switch between these two, they really look basically the same. But what you can see that, and actually, if a thing I prefer to do for view is Command 0, and that makes the frame fill it. And if I go to this one and I go Command 0, and then if it's too close to the edges, I do Command minus. Whoa, that's not really, that's fine. What I want, but, and then I'm going to go Command minus, so it's just going to give me one. And the way you know they're different is the math, sorry. Okay. On the A4, this is 25% of an A4 picture at 300 pixels per inch. 300 pixels per inch is the minimum pixel depth that you want to have for a printed image. If it's less than that, the chances of it looking bad are high. Okay. Photoshop can repair things. Photoshop can fill in between the blanks, but it's not perfect. And if you provide more pixels per inch, more dots per inch, it will reproduce better in physical formats. Okay. When we think of what a computer screen looks like and the pictures we look at on it, it's 72 pixels per inch. So that's a quarter. All right. Because light's coming through it, it doesn't have to have as many pixels. But if you try to print that picture, it looks horrible. So let's just, let me give you a sense of these two as well, just to give you a physical orientation. So I'm going to do select all. So now the marquee there tells me I've selected all of that. So I know that I've selected all of that. And then I'm going to go edit, copy. I will come over here to, this was the A4. And so that's what I get. Okay, so I'm across the A4. The A4 is portrait. My picture is horizontal. Okay, if I come into this one, do you see it? This is a much bigger platform than I'm on, even though they appear to be the same size. If I come back over here, it is taking up much more of that image than it is here. So Photoshop can get confusing because everything looks the same. Everything looks the same size. Until usually you take it over to Illustrator and you go, what? I thought that picture wasn't that small. And yes, it was. So what we can, so that's hopefully giving you a sense of that, but it is up here in the numbers. If this number is smaller than that number, which it is, and they look the same, that means this one is bigger. Does that help? Okay, even if let's go to the dunes, and that I'll do select all, stop it, please. Okay. Okay, edit, copy. So we'll come over to the smaller one again and we'll go Command V. Now that's actually fitting in the A4 size, and it is going to be smaller here. I'm just going to go Command V. So that's showing you that that one is smaller there. Just trying to give you a sense that the different sizes do matter. Now, it's interesting that the two pictures I picked out are actually in reduced size. If I go to one of these guys that's a little more original, so let's go to one that's still named that, see what it is. Okay, that's not the world's most exciting picture, but if I do, it's Command A or select all, Command C or copy. I'll come back over to the small one. I'll go Command V, and there it is. It's large again. And then now Command V, you can see that that's actually the whole picture it fits in. So those aren't even as large as I thought they were. Okay, so I am going to let you do your posters either in landscape or in I can say this, or in portrait, so horizontal or vertical. When you're moving towards a magazine page is vertical, it is portrait. So my suggestion is you do it vertically, but you don't specifically have to. Okay, so because vertical will lend itself better to the printed page, horizontal is actually more what you do on a billboard. So those are two ultimate goals at the end of what we're going to do in a campaign, is for you to mock up a billboard and to mock up an ad in a magazine, a print ad. So having both of those in your mind is a good thing. Now, the one thing about A4 and A3 and A2 and A1 and A5 and all those A numbers, they all possess the same aspect ratio. They're just different sizes. So all of those sizes are related. So A5 doubles to A4, A4 doubles to A3, A3 doubles to A2, A2 doubles to A1, which is basically a really big poster, and A0 is even more giant than that. So, but they all have the same aspect ratio. And what that aspect ratio is 1 point. Sorry, these classrooms, I hear people talking from other buildings and I'm thinking my phone is going crazy. Okay, is 1.41 to 1. In this image, okay, I'm going to go to this cropping tool right here. So there's the crop tool, and you can see it creates handles on the outside. Now, if we look up here, it gives us the attributes of it. And this says selection, whatever, but these two numbers are looking for a ratio. So if I go 1 to 1, that's what I get on the crop tool. So that is 1 to 1. That is strangely actually a square. And whatever I do to that crop it holds that ratio. If I take those numbers out, when I grab this, it kind of can go anywhere. Okay, so a ratio gives us some control. If I now change it to 1 to 1.41, that is what? How did I do that? I have no idea. I touched something. What? Oh. All right, it is 1.41. So now what I've got, all right, that is a vertical A size. Okay. If I want to go horizontal, let me do it properly and go 1.41 in the first and 1 in the second. Then that is a proper horizontal image. Now, hopefully what you're seeing there is that it doesn't match the aspect ratio of the original picture. In fact, it is never going to match the aspect ratio of the original picture, whether it's from your phone, whether it's from a digital camera. This is actually, this is a digital camera, whether it's from an old picture from a slide, from a 35mm film, the A measurements don't match. So if you are going to use a picture, a single picture, as the core image in your whole poster, it is not going to perfectly match. You can't use it complete and whole. But what you can do, see, I can go to there. I can then, if I grab there, then I grab here and oh, okay. I'm probably losing a fair bit there. But if I crop this picture in this way, I am now, see that horrible little white line? That's horrible. You can undo just like with anything else. So I've gone back. I've got to go back and put the number up there. Okay. And actually that gives me the most centered one, but, and then that doesn't carve my edge. All right, so that's just giving you a sense that way. So what I also want to show you is I can turn this image into a vertical image so that if I swap these around, whoops. It's now vertical. So I can move that as I might. Maybe make it a touch smaller. And then what happens is I've taken horizontal and turned it vertical. Now that will not always work. In that image it does, because really what's on the outside is just dark space. You can use that dark space. I can show you what I ended up with. Let's hope okay, we're going to go to documents. There it is. Okay. And this is really, so here's the one I made out of portrait with an I Love New York logo and then hashtags and an @ and then did visuals, or I can show it to you in a landscape. Okay, let's just see, why are those two different? Oh, that's with and without. Come here. So that's what I was able to do horizontal, so I could use all that black space. It's much stronger vertically. There it is with nothing, and there it is moved a little bit. So any picture has that potential. And even if we take the dunes here that are vertical, I'm not sure there's one here, but let's see. There's not a horrible, that's not a bad horizontal one. Okay, obviously a lot more needs to be added. And I can even show you, I think I did, where is it? L. So I did, okay. Oh, it looks like I didn't add anything to it. So I'd already done that. Let me see. Portrait. No, I did not make a full poster because I made a bunch of different ones. Okay. So everybody kind of get that on size. When you take it, if you already have it in the right aspect ratio, you know if you want to cut it and if it's okay, or you could say, no, I like the whole picture, and you can put borders on it and you can put borders around it. Or you can not focus on that one picture. You can do multiple pictures and things like that. Okay, I realize this is the very technical part and it's really thrilling and exciting, but it's good to know. So let's just take a look at some of the things we can do. All right, nope, not that one. I'm gonna open another. Okay. Okay, we're going to try a couple pictures here. All right, so even there, that's wider. What I would probably do, whoops. All right. Just moving back a little. Nope. Okay, so that one I've cut. Huh? Well, I guess if you have to emergency, you got to leave. Okay. And see, I screwed that one up because I couldn't see the top edge. What I want to tell you is you should never do the manipulations on the original picture. I think I might have already said this to you guys. You always want to keep a copy. This is not the most original one, but it is a copy. But even here, I would make a copy of it. Just do save as. Because you never know, you might totally screw it up and you don't want to lose the image. So that is a JPEG. And with JPEGs are reducing the amount of information you have. If you constantly copy and recopy a picture as a JPEG and you have it in the middle ground, you're going to undermine what's possible. Okay, you're going to kind of destroy it. So I want to show you some of the basic places you start in Photoshop with manipulation, and that is adjustment. That's the adjustment, the image adjustments. And so I'm going to go to the first one, the obvious one. It's in preview. I can, this particular brightness control, okay, expands brightness overall. I'm going to put it back to zero. Okay, this one, this is contrast. So contrast, if I reduce contrast, it makes everything more gray. If I increase contrast, it makes the black behind it blacker and the white behind it whiter. So here we can go. And so there you see all the darks got really dark and the brights got very bright. And so that's what happens with contrast. But a little of an addition of contrast might be good, but then he looks pretty dark. Okay, so if I do some kind of combination, what if I brighten it up? And then in a sense, I take the darks. That's not very real. That's too intense for me. I actually prefer so there's the original. I like the original a lot. I've practiced a lot over the years taking pictures of race cars, and I have the exposures reasonably right. At any given Formula One, I will shoot more than 3,000 pictures. So that's what I go for. I like the cars and I like making pictures of the cars. So, sorry. So I can do cancel on that. There's also in image, we can do some adjustments in terms of hue and saturation. Okay, now here's a thing that is not brightness, it's called lightness. And this is a little less abusive, but still it's an overall lightness and darkness, but there's no contrast here. If we look at saturation, saturation is how much color there is. Okay, so if I take all color saturation out, I essentially end up with black and white. If I take saturation to insane levels, it gets insane. All right, it's too much saturation. So there you can really see the purple in the back tire popping. I'm going to take that back to 0. Then hue, what hue is actually color, and this is how really most of the filters you use operate. And this is where we can actually change the colors. You didn't know that that car was green or that the Rolex ads had orange in them. Okay, this is just changing all the different colors. That's just bizarro. So you could do something with a whole bunch of different colored cars. Okay, I go back to 0. There's the correct color. It's kind of that magenta. Now, with this, you can also make adjustments just to specific color types. So if I go cyan, all right, that's pretty close to cyan. So that if I boost up saturation, it's just that color cyan. So clearly it's behind that green in the Rolex, and you can see it in the tires and in the body of the car. It is just boosting up that color. If I go with, let's go yellows. This is going to grab a lot of yellow up here. Those are going to grab yellow there. If I increase saturation. Okay. And so that's boosting the yellow. So you can see all the yellow that you maybe didn't even know were there. Didn't see those before, did you? Okay. So it can be done in a lot of different ways. Okay, so those are some of the controls you can use. And this is a really interesting one. If you want to go with black and white or something like that, it is always better to use black and white. Because in this, we have a lot more control. Do you see that it's more detailed than that other one I did a minute ago when I just pulled out saturation? And the thing here is you got all those controls that look kind of crazy. If we remember our colors, we can take the cyans and look, it's the new Petronas car, the black Silver Arrow. Okay, never mind. But you can just take a single color and adjust it. You can change it to white. You can do all those sorts of things. So this one is a much more controlled black and white. We could take all the yellows. That would be kind of weird. And shut things down. Oh, it's not going to go. We could, oh, okay, okay, so this is responsive overall, the magentas, whatever. We can take the stripe out of the tire just by grabbing this color. That's pretty weird. Okay, and that's the kind of power it has based on those colors. I want to show you even a better example there. Let me see if I can. There it is. Okay. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to take off the. Sorry. No guides. So if I take this particular image, this one actually does interesting things. If I take it to black and white, image adjustments, and I got the black and white. This ends up being pretty cool. So by grabbing different colors, I can alter the feeling of the whole pattern. I can take blues to blacks. And so you can see different parts can be manipulated in different ways. Yellow can become black, red can become black or white. Then we could take the yellow because then it can get dark. So, and you can do that directly manipulating color. So, okay, so let me just go. I'm going to go back to this one. There are some other things under image adjustment. Done black and white. You can do invert, which literally just change black to white. White, it's opposite colors. Looks like a photo negative. Posterizing, you're reducing the number of colors in it. You can see you get up high enough, it just looks normal. And then when you start dropping colors out, etc. All right. So the really fun place that people like to go and do crazy things is in filters. And so here in filters, I'm going to open the filter gallery. And with the filter gallery, I want to go, I think 25%. I'll go a little higher. So I'll go 33%. So there's a pretty filled picture. Now it's starting out on this sketch, but let's just, we'll go to the top and start out with artistic. Now, what you notice is you choose something here. Okay, now the two of those are on, so I need to take that one off. The sketch. I need no sketch, please. All right, so. Okay, sorry. Let me see what happens now. All right, I'm still getting a lot of this gray. I want. Okay, that says it's okay. It says, all right. So film grain didn't do much of anything. I'm a little confused. Oh, okay, sorry. That's the problem. There we go. Now it's getting a little artistic. Kind of looks painted. Palette knife is nice. I don't use these filters a lot, but you can. Okay, so that's how you make a photograph look painted or something like that. Here's watercolor. This one is strangely has never looked very watercolor to me. You got to take out the shadow intensity, reduce brush detail. Yeah, see, that doesn't look like watercolor to me. Some of my actual favorites are, in fact, the stamp. I love the stamp. That's a lot more white. That's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm now thinking of special effects that can be done. Let's see. So this is something you might want to play with, mess around with. That covers everything in Chrome. That's like charcoal pencil. If you're artistic at all, there we go. There you go. Now it's a lot of these involve throwing a lot of black in there that doesn't make a lot of sense. There's ink outlines. That one I think is pretty good. Yeah, that one has a little potential. So you can go in there and play around. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to give you the time. You need to be working on number 7. I'm going to give you an activity 8. It's going to take me a few minutes. I need to find a picture for you, and then I'll give everybody the same picture, and then I'm going to ask you to do some specific manipulations that I did. And the whole point is, it is very simply for you to practice it and not just watch me do it. Okay, I just want you to do that. And so I'm going to take attendance, and then I'm going to set you guys free. And hopefully I can be done in a pretty quick amount of time, but then you guys can just go through the exercise and see if you know how to do it. And then you can ask questions. And sorry, smart person in the corner. Who are you? Okay, Sarah. Okay. So then you can know to ask. You can go on the WhatsApp group. You can send messages to me. I can help you do most of those manipulations, because there are literally a million things in here. And I don't want to sit here and show them to you. I think in the other class, I spent too much time. I'd rather have you guys doing it. And I'm almost to the point where I'll just show you a couple things, And then I'll ask you to try it, because when you try it is when it works. Now, the other thing about these kind of effects, this is a story I always like to tell. I am going to give you this class activity I'm going to give you. I call it a donut assignment. The reason I call it a donut assignment is when I was a teenager, my older middle brother and I went to the beach. And I can tell you, it was called Trancas Market on the Pacific Coast Highway in California. We went to a grocery store. In my family, we went to the beach early. And we went to the back to the pastry area, and there were these amazing donuts. Okay. And we went back there, and my brother said, "You want to have a couple of donuts?" I said, "They all look so good. I want them all." And being the middle brother and my older brother, he said, "Okay, I'll make you a deal. I will buy you whatever donuts you want, but you will eat every donut I buy you." And knowing my brother, he's 4 years older than me, I knew he's pretty serious about that, but I wanted these donuts. So I got a whole array of donuts. I ate all those donuts. Needless to say, I don't eat a lot of donuts anymore because I overindulged. It's, occasionally, I have very specific tastes in donuts now. And the point is, a lot of these effects and all the crazy stuff you can do in Photoshop are like visual donuts. You use too many of them, you're going to start to not feel so good. All right. But there's just something about doing it and knocking yourself out so you get that feeling of nausea, and then you don't ever do it again. Right? It doesn't always hold up. But over the years, I've seen students do it. And I mean, even I can tell you from times when I was producing stories and putting things on television, when I got a new piece of technology, I would like do all the crazy things I could do with it. So when I got this one machine I could do slow-mo on, which was really weird in videotape when you could do slow-mo. I'm not going to explain it. It's not a technology anymore, and you just punch it into Premiere and nobody, boom, it's easy peasy. Okay, but when you used to do it with your hands, oh gosh, I was such a skilled slow motion person. Okay, dude, we get it. You can do slow motion. Be done with it. I mean, it's just like, it's horrible. So I want to invite you, like my brother, to chomp on the donuts, knock yourselves out. So please do. I'm not going to mark you on it. I just want you to get over it, because then you should use things that help you communicate and help you connect with your audience, and aren't just, hey, look what I can do. I am now the mistress of Photoshop, right? Oh, look, I can do filters. Because ultimately, this part of Photoshop, unless you have a very specific purpose, you're not going to spend a lot of time here. Okay, so I'm going to create that for you. Hopefully you've seen that. I'm going to stop recording.